Officially, Turkey is the host of the talks between Russia and Ukraine. And so it was to there President Zelenskyy flew with the Ukrainian delegation.
The priority is peace. The priority is ceasefire. The priority is to be here today. That's why I'm here, and that's why I'm underlining it again and again, the high level of representatives of our group.
But what could have been a moment of history was in reality lost before it even began. No President Putin, and from a few thousand miles away, this from President Trump.
Nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay? And obviously he wasn't going to go. He was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there. And I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have to get it solved because too many people are dying.
Yet again, not a whisper of criticism for the Russian leader. Back in Ankara, having met with President Erdogan, an ally to both Russia and Ukraine, President Zelenskyy was choosing his words carefully, but clearly unhappy, if unsurprised, his Russian counterpart wasn't part of the talks that he himself proposed.
If there are no serious decisions and no bilateral meetings, we call for sanctions that will act as an incentive for a quicker resolution of the war. But for now, Russia's demonstrating that it does not want to end the war.
Russia has sent a delegation to Istanbul for the talks, but not at a senior level, which seems to befit Moscow's view of the Ukrainian president.
At first, Zelenskyy was making some statements demanding that Putin come in person. He is a pathetic man. Everyone understands, except perhaps himself and those who control him.
So once again, President Putin appears to have manipulated a situation to his own favour, avoiding the talks, but also avoiding the censure of the United States president. If, as seems likely, these talks fail, it will be the moment the Ukrainians expect the West to step up with their much-discussed but not yet delivered package of sanctions. However, for them to be truly successful, they require the full support of the United States. And at this point, that seems less sure than Ukraine and its allies might like. Emma Murphy, News at 10, Kyiv.
Well, to discuss that further, we're joined now by Dan in Washington. Dan, Donald Trump seemingly crucial to both the future of Ukraine and Gaza. We've seen one ceasefire fall apart from earlier in the year, of course, no apparent progress, some potential traction in Turkey. Is there any underlying strategy that we can detect?
It's a really difficult question, isn't it, Julie? I think there are some themes that are emerging from the Trump foreign policy doctrine. I think one is that he is a big fan of quick wins. He wants sort of instant gratification, if I can put it that way, wanting to get people to do deals quickly. And we saw that in the first term with North Korea, going very quickly to having face-to-face meeting with Kim Jong-un, and it ultimately didn't really change much. And it feels like he is very much wanting to do the same with Gaza and Ukraine without necessarily doing the kind of hard diplomatic yards that are often needed to get two sides to come together and do a deal. I think the other theme that emerges is his admiration of strongmen around the world. And I think he sees himself as a strongman, and he sees the world in terms of spheres of influence. And I think he really wants to sort of upend the rules-based order that has been in place since the end of the Second World War and do deals. If you could put it in kind of real estate terms, that is, after all, where he started, I think he wants to shake hands with another real estate entrepreneur and not have to deal with planning permission or City Hall, and in this case, you know, not deal with the UN or any of the international organisations. I think the other thing is, as well, is that, you know, critics would say the last person to whisper in his ear often has the greatest influence, and we've seen that with President Zelenskyy and on this recent tour, to the point that leads to huge unpredictability, and we don't even know right now if he's going to come back to Washington tonight or if he's heading off to Turkey.